So I can remember two very distinct times in my life where I remember being scared, like fearful. One was in business several years ago, and another was just a few years ago, also with a conversation I needed to have with a coach of mine. And the reason I share that is because I understand what it's like to have fear, and I understand how fear can absolutely freeze you in your tracks. And I want to talk about this topic today because I believe so many individuals are completely paralyzed by fear. And fear is so strong that it will paralyze you not for moments, not for seconds, but for weeks, months, and years. It's one of the most powerful emotions that exist that we have in our human experience. And so, when we're talking about fear today, I'm hoping that you guys are going to be able to resonate with this, whether it be in your health, in business, in relationships. What does it mean to be fearful? And what does it mean to move even though you're fearful? And so, I'm going to share with you in the beginning of today's episode about four misconceptions about fear that I know to be true. And then we're going to bring on a guest this morning. So recently, y'all, we introduced a new segment called Coach Me Live, where we invited you guys to email me if you were interested in being coached live by me. And you guys did just that. So at the end of today's conversation, during our BS segment, our business strategy segment, we are going to invite Wanda on where I'm going to coach her live because she specifically introduced this topic around fear and wanted to know, how do I move through the fear that I'm experiencing? But before we bring Wanda on for our BS, our business strategy segment, I thought I would share with you guys four misconceptions about fear that I believe will be extremely helpful to hear and understand, because I think when I'm coaching for like the past multiple years, when I'm coaching, one of the things that has revealed itself over and over again is that rarely is it the circumstance that's our problem, but it's the belief that we attach to the circumstance. So one of the things you guys have probably heard me hear say before is behavior follows belief. Behavior follows belief. And so one of the things that I want to do with you guys today is help to maybe reframe some beliefs that you have about fear. And that alone, like the first 10, 15 minutes of this conversation might do it for you. Like you might need to, one of these misconceptions that I'm about to break down about fear might be the thing that you needed to hear to start moving again. And if it is, let's get it. Let's get it. Okay. So listen, I hope you guys missed me last week. I took a week off last week. I'm back, feeling good, feeling amazing. Before we jump into this conversation about fear and I talk about the four misconceptions, top misconceptions that I've personally noticed over my life experience about fear, I need to know what y'all are drinking, because y'all know I'm up in here with our radical obedience swag, and I've got my tea, y'all. I got my mint tea mixed with like a ashwagandha adaptogenic blend. It's real fancy today. So what y'all drinking on? Let me know in the chat. What's up, Rhonda? What's up, Coach Kiwi? What's up, Lachey? What's up, Stacy? What's up, all my regulars? It's good to see y'all. Welcome back. Let me know what y'all drinking. Stacy said key lime water once again. Stacy is the one who taught us that we could put key limes in water. You know, who knew? I thought us regulars were just putting lemon and lime. She said key lime. Okay. What else y'all drinking? Rhonda said she got a green smoothie. Okay. What's in your smoothie, Rhonda? What's in your smoothie? We would love to hear it. Susan, what you drinking on this morning? Y'all know, I hope y'all got y'all tea ready to go. Ready to go. Because it's about to get juicy. Let's talk about fear. What to do when fear starts to paralyze you. I mean, some of the stuff can be so scary, y'all. And so let me get into these four misconceptions, and then we're going to bring on Wanda, and I'm going to coach her live. I'm going to have a real juicy conversation about fear. So Kiwi says water on the stove. Tea is coming. Very good. What's up, Tia? What's up, Tia? Good to see you. Okay, beautiful. So let me get into this because I don't want to take up too much time. I want to leave as much time as possible for Wanda to get coached live this morning. So if you don't know me, this is my Monday morning keynote with Coach Lisa A. Smith, a health and business coach specializing in the areas of plant-based nutrition, entrepreneurship, radical obedience, and chronic stress. And I'm here every Monday morning at 10 a.m. EST, 10 a.m. EST. And this is also the live recording of the Plant Protocol podcast. So welcome, everyone. So if for any reason you've missed some of these episodes and it's so juicy that you want to hear what you missed, make sure you give the Plant Protocol podcast a follow. We're on Apple Podcasts. We're on all the podcast platforms, Google Podcasts. Just search for the Plant Protocol podcast and you can make sure you catch up on all of these wonderful episodes. Let's see. Karen says she's got her lemon juice and water. Hello. Susan, smoothie with red beets. I had a smoothie with red beets this morning too. Carrots, celery, Granny Smith apples, frozen pineapples, blueberries, and unsweetened almond milk. Honey, that is a plant powerhouse. That's how you fuel up for the day. Wanda is drinking on peppermint tea. Wanda's getting ready to come on live and get coached. Wanda, you better sip on that herbal tea, calm that mind and that spirit so we can get things moving. I love it. I love it. Okay, beautiful. So everybody got something they sipping on. Let me go through these misconceptions about fear that I've learned over the years for the first half of our conversation today. Okay, so here's the first misconception about fear that I had to understand, and that is that the absence of fear is not the presence of faith. So let's go ahead and put this in the chat. Whoever my note takers are going to be in the room today, can you drop number one in the chat for me? Which is the absence of fear is not the presence of faith. So what do I mean by that? What I mean by that is faith, which is something that we're going to talk about today because it's one of the things that Wanda wanted to know. How do I grow my faith muscle so that I can start moving in my business? And sometimes we can believe that having faith means I feel no fear. And that's not true. So the first misconception that I want to upend for some of you is that the absence of fear is not the presence of faith. What that means in even simpler terms is that you can be scared and have faith at the same time. Just because you feel fear doesn't mean that you don't have faith. Faith is evidenced not by what you say, but by what you do. Right? So it's one thing to say, I have faith, I believe, I have faith in that I cannot see. That's one thing. But faith is evidence in the fact that you still take action although you feel fear. So the first misconception that I want to make sure we clear up for you guys when it comes to fear today is the absence of fear is not the presence of faith. Just because you feel scared, you feel nervous, you feel uncertain, doesn't mean you don't have faith. You can actually take fearful action, right? Meaning faith is being able to move without being able to see all the steps in front of you, right? When you have faith, you have low visibility. When you're operating in faith, you have low visibility. So to move without knowing how things are going to turn out, to move without a guarantee of the outcome, to move without a guarantee of success is exhibiting and practicing faith. But in the midst of exhibiting and practicing faith, you can still feel fear. It's a thing. So the moment you decide to operate in faith, it's not the moment that fear just automatically dissipates. That is not the moment that you decide, okay, like I'm scared as heck. I never ran a business before. I'm scared as heck. I've never created content online before. I'm scared as heck to have this difficult conversation with this person I love. I'm scared as heck. Right. Just because you decide to do it anyway doesn't mean that fear is going to go away. So that's number one. Thank you guys for putting it in the chat. The absence of fear is not the presence of faith. It doesn't mean that you're faithful and then all of a sudden you stop feeling fear. They can coexist and they often do. They often do. So that's number one. Let's get into number two. The second misconception that about fear that many people have that might help you better understand how to deal with fear is that, oh, this is a big one, y'all. Now, before I say this one, let me tell you how I learned this one. So many of you guys know, in addition to being a health coach, I started my career as a health coach. In addition to being a health coach, I'm also a business coach. I started as a health coach in 2015. I started business coaching in about 2021 officially. I was doing it before then, but like officially making an offer to people. And when I started business coaching and helping people launch their coaching businesses and speaking careers, that is when I started to learn this lesson, this second lesson. Because a lot of people, when I started business coaching, started developing when I told them how they needed to market themselves and what was required to start a business, a coaching business. A lot of my students and clients at the time became fearful very specifically around creating content, around going live or creating videos or posts on social media or starting their own podcast or doing a live class, whatever the content creation was going to be. It could be in person, on social media, whatever it is. And a lot of people, when I told them, listen, this is what's required to market yourself, to put yourself out there, to tell people that your business exists, to tell people that your brand exists, to attract the clients to you that you want to help and be in service to. There are a lot of people who get really, really fearful, feel a lot of fear when they have to market themselves. Like they're willing to do the work privately once they get the client, but they didn't quite understand that the skill set of servicing the client is not the same as the skill set of running a business, and a business requires a marketing strategy, right? And so the second lesson that I learned about fear when I became a business coach is fear is not a sign that you're making the wrong decision. Somebody put that in the chat. That's misconception number 2. Fear is not a sign or a signal that you're making the wrong decision. So, what that means is sometimes when people get excited about doing something and they're like, I'm going full speed ahead, I feel this calling to serve people in this certain area, I want to start my own coaching business, or I have a dynamic story that I believe belongs on stages. And they be like, I'm going to take the leap and I'm going to put myself out there, right? And then when they start, learning what's all required to put themselves out there, there's a part of the process that scares the heck out of them, i.e., I got to create content online for other people to consume. And a lot of people wrongly assume that the moment I arrive at a step that scares me so much that it paralyzes me, this must not be what I'm meant to do. Because if it was what I was meant to do, I wouldn't be this scared. If it was what I was meant to do, it wouldn't be this hard. And that is not true. Fear is not a sign that you're making a wrong decision. I've heard this so many times over the years, and it just baffles me. Because we're afraid to take a specific step, a lot of us believe that this must not be my assignment because it's hard, because it's scary, right? Because I feel unequipped or unqualified, right? And so that is not true. Just because you're not excited about every step that the assignment requires doesn't mean that that's not your assignment. So, misconception number 2, fear is not a sign that you're making the wrong decision. It's simply a sign that you're human. As soon as you approach a step in the protocol that scares you, that makes you uncomfortable. For example, if I ask, a lot of you guys are going to be taking our next 30-day vegan, salt, oil, and sugar-free challenge that's starting on July 1st, right? And I'm like, hey, in order to do this, in order to successfully live this lifestyle for at least the month of July, you're going to have to share with your friends and your family. You're going to have to speak up for yourself when you go out to eat. You're going to have to demand inclusion when people are making plans, because you can't go everywhere. You can't eat everywhere. You can't eat everything. When somebody wants to make something for you, you're going to have to tell them, hey, I can't have the dairy or I can't have the sugar, right? And if that scares you because you've never advocated for yourself in that way, because you've never stood up for yourself in that way, you're going to be thinking, maybe this lifestyle just isn't for me. Maybe this is just too hard because I'm asking you to do something that makes you uncomfortable. Fear is not a sign that you're making the wrong decision. It's simply a sign that you're human. That's it. And this one is Okay, my phone is freezing. Kiwi, you said I'm freezing. I don't know what to do. We'll see. Let me know if it comes back in a minute, guys. Let me know if it comes back. Let me know when I'm back. Okay. Okay, I'm good now. Okay, listen, we on mobile today, y'all. We got to do it on the phone today, so that we can coach somebody live. So sorry about that. Okay, so we're back. I'm getting into misconception number 3. All right, beautiful. All right, so let's get into misconception number 3. Misconception number 3 is that you have to be fearless, right? So that fear is bad. Like there's something wrong if you feel scared. That like fear is a weakness. Like so, there's a lot of and this is like an really like macho talk, right? Like you got to be fearless, you got to be bold, you got to go crazy, like you got to just do things, and you got to just don't worry. You shouldn't feel fear. You should be tough. You should like outpower or outman or out tough the problem or the thing that you're trying to do, right? And so it's this idea that fear is weakness, right? That feeling fear is weakness, like being scared is weak, right? Whether it's something physical you're about to do or something, digital or intellectual that you're about to do. The third misconception is that fear is a sign of weakness. However, the truth is that fear is a tool. Now, I'm explaining this in the kind of in the health world. In the health world, I teach a lot around how to use food as medicine. And I teach people about things like supplements. And a lot of people use supplements for health, to supplement their vitamins and mineral intake, right? And so when I'm teaching vitamins and supplements, people ask a lot of questions about vitamins and supplements in the plant-based world because a lot of people believe that when you don't eat meat, you're going to be deficient in something, right? And so one of the things I have to tell people when it comes to taking vitamins and supplements on a plant-based diet is number one, don't run out and take vitamins and supplements just because you're not eating animal products. Just because you're not eating meat, eggs, or dairy or fish doesn't mean that you're automatically going to be deficient in something. So that's one of the things I have to tell people. But then I tell people, your supplement intake should be based on your unique needs. So you should get blood work done and let that determine whether or not you need to supplement. But then the next thing I tell people about supplements is this: be careful with taking a counter full of supplements without any evidence that you need it, because your levels could already be good for a certain vitamin and mineral. And if you take a supplement, you can actually do damage by having too much of something, just like you. So believe is if something is good for me, then there's no such thing as having too much. And that's false. What does this have to do with fear? Fear is the same way. Fear is a tool. Actually, a healthy amount of fear is extremely beneficial to you. So having no fear could be dangerous. Having a little fear can be extremely powerful, but having too much can also be dangerous. So similar to my supplement recommendations. Yes, like you can literally have, and some of you guys know, you can have too much vitamin D, just like you can have too little. A lot of people, especially people of color, a lot of us have to take vitamin D as a supplement. But you can have too much vitamin D in the body. Like you could all of a sudden be getting enough sun and then taking a supplement, and you could do damage to your body with too much. Fear is the exact same way. It is not really healthy to go through life never feeling fear. Never. I watch a lot of documentaries, true crime documentaries, especially like about serial killers, and they don't be feeling no fear. Like they be murdering the heck out of people, fearless, broad daylight, picking up kids on the street. It's crazy. Shotguns, knives, kidnappings, like psychopaths, complete psychopaths, fearless. Fearless. They like whatever. Matter of fact, I was watching one yesterday. Old boy wanted to be caught because he wanted to be infamous. So he wanted somebody to write a book about him. So he had to get caught in order to be infamous. And he was fearless because I'm like, I want to get caught. I don't care about killing somebody and kidnapping somebody in broad daylight. My whole point is having no fear is not healthy. That should not be the goal. So the third misconception is, that you got to be fearless, which is false. A little bit of fear, just like a little bit of stress, is extremely helpful. But too much fear, just like too much stress, can be deadly. And in this case, stress will kill you physically, fear will kill you emotionally. It will kill you intellectually and psychologically and spiritually, right? So too much stress, deadly. A little bit of stress, extremely productive and healthy. Too little fear, problematic. Too much fear will kill you, but just the right amount, extremely healthy. So the third misconception is that the goal is to be fearless, and it's not. It's not a sign of weakness. It's extremely powerful. Let's get into the final misconception, and then we're going to bring Wanda on. Okay. Okay. So here is the final misconception about fear. And this is my favorite. This is the biggest one. This is the one that I love the most, because I think this is the one that has helped me the most every time I felt fear before. So the fourth and final misconception about fear that you need to understand, note takers, put this in the chat, okay, is that um, fear is a useless emotion. Fear is a useless emotion. So what I mean is it's all bad. Like I feel fear, and because it does all the weird things to our mind, like it maybe causes us to overthink, it paralyzes us, we don't take action. Maybe physically we have responses to fear. Maybe you're about to go on stage and speak, and so you have nervousness, you may have sweating, you have all the symptoms that of fear, right? And so we think fear is kind of somewhat of a like it's all bad. But the truth is, and this is my favorite one, fear is an alert mechanism. Fear is an alert mechanism. So what that means is that in the physical realm, fear can alert us to danger, right? It is actually extremely healthy to feel fear because it piques our antennas, right? It makes us more alert. Like we can enter a space, feel bad energy, or we're walking down a dark street alone and we might be a little fearful. That's good because it makes us more alert. Fear is an alert mechanism. But for most of us, we don't need as often the fear mechanism for the physical danger. What most of us require is a fear mechanism for the internal danger. So here's what I mean. Oftentimes, while fear can alert us to some danger physically around us, more often for the majority of us, fear alerts us to an internal threat. Fear alerts us to an internal threat. So what that means is, what are you really afraid of? What that means is when you feel fear because your coach told you to go create content online for your business, when you feel fear because your coach told you to go speak up because now you're plant based and you need to demand inclusion. Shout out to Wanda. When you feel fear because you're about to go live with your coach to talk about what's scaring you, the real thing that's inviting us to is some inner work that we need to do. Fear is an alert mechanism. If you're like so afraid to turn on the camera so people can hear your voice and see your face, if you're super afraid to speak up for yourself in a meeting, if you're super afraid to demand inclusion during planning a family outing, if you're super afraid to start the business, if you're super afraid to have the difficult conversation with someone you love because you're afraid of how it might damage the relationship, that is an invitation to do deeper work. When I taught something similar during one of our prep classes last month or the month before last, I called it excavation. That means you need to ask yourself several layers of why. Why am I afraid of this? Well, why am I afraid of that? Well, why am I afraid of that? Right? Well, I'm afraid of, so I'll give you guys an example for this final one before Wanda comes on. When a couple years ago, one of my coaches, my business coaches, she said we need to raise our prices, price. She's like, your price is too low for what you do. We were charging like $500 at the time for one of our programs. And she's like, that's way too low. You need to be charging more. Y'all, this is one of the distinct times that I can remember actually feeling fear. Like, I was so afraid to raise our prices. Like, I think it was maybe like 5 years ago. I was so afraid to raise our prices. And so I had to say, okay, I'm afraid of raising my prices, but why am I afraid of raising the price, right? Oh, I'm afraid people aren't going to pay. Well, why am I afraid that people aren't going to pay? Because I'm afraid that they're going to think I'm too expensive. But why am I afraid of people thinking I'm too expensive? Oh, because they're going to think that I don't care about helping people if I'm charging more. Why am I afraid about people thinking that? Because I'm afraid of what people think of me. But why am I afraid of that? That's called excavation, right? That means we keep digging and we keep digging. We feel the fear. We recognize that the fear is not a useless emotion, it's an alert mechanism. We recognize that the thing we're afraid of is not the thing we're really afraid of. Like, I could say on the surface that I was afraid of raising my prices. But the truth, after I excavated the situation, is that I was afraid of what our community would think of me by charging more, right? So I wasn't afraid of raising the price. I was afraid of how I would be perceived. And why was I afraid of that? Right. And so fear is an alert mechanism. It alerts you not just to external issues, but it alerts you to internal issues. So it's so useful to be like, why am I so afraid of going public with my business? Why am I so afraid of turning on the camera? Why am I so afraid of having this conversation? Right? Oh, I'm afraid that it might end the relationship. Why am I afraid of that? Well, I don't want to be alone. Why am I afraid of that? I'm afraid of what people will think of us if this doesn't work out. What am I? So the excavation part is so powerful. So fear is an alert mechanism. It is not a useless emotion. It's actually a tool you can use to figure out the parts of you that maybe need to heal or that you need to do growth work. I'm afraid of raising my prices because I don't think anybody can afford it. Why don't I think anybody can afford it? Because I can't afford it. So I'm thinking people don't have it. Oh, I have a lack mindset. So in this case, the fear that I was feeling, if I do the excavation, alerts me to the lack that I have inside of me. The fear that I'm feeling alerts me to the insecurities that I have inside of me. The fear that I'm feeling alerts me to the low self-esteem that I got to deal with, right? And so fear is so useful. It's so useful. It's so useful, right? So those are the 4 misconceptions about fear that I thought might be helpful for you guys to hear before me and Wanda get into this conversation to talk about fear for her and building her faith muscle. Because a lot of times, we think fear is a bad thing, but it's not. But just like supplements, y'all, just like stress, a little, extremely healthy. Too much can be extremely dangerous. So it's not that we should be fearless. We don't need to be at 0 degrees fear. But we also don't want to be at 80% fear, and we're to a point where it's paralyzing us from taking action. But just the right amount is just what we need to move the needle in the right direction. Wanda, whenever you're ready, join me on this live. We're about to move into our segment called BS, also known as business strategy. Wanda wrote us a phenomenal email asking about how to move through fear, specifically in her business. And so, what I'm going to do is walk you guys through what she said, and we're going to walk through what's exactly holding her back. And so, whenever Wanda pops on here, we'll be ready to go. And so, as she comes on and she's getting ready to come on, I know she was just in the audience. She already requested a couple times now, but we weren't ready. We weren't ready. So come on back, Wanda, whenever you're ready. We'll get her on. And so let me tell you, while we're waiting for Wanda to come on, let me tell you what she emailed it about. So I made an invitation for you guys to email me and take me up on an offer to allow me to coach you live during this Monday morning keynote. And I asked you to email me and let me know what your challenges are. Let me know what you're feeling. Let me know what you want to be coached through. And so Wanda wrote in and she said, I'm just going to keep it real. I'm scared to make a move. She said, I don't know why, but I need help building my faith muscle. And so this is for Wanda, very specifically in her business. She has a business that she wants to start with herself and one other person. So she's not doing it completely alone. Super dope. So she's not doing it completely alone. She'll be doing it with another person, but they've done some preliminary work and some foundational work, but they're still working on some other stuff. Wanda, where that peppermint tea at? Where
Oh
that?
wait, it's on the other side over there. Sorry, sorry. Let me
Oh,
walk and
Wanda,
go get
you
it
know
real
you gotta
quick.
bring the tea. You know you gotta bring the tea. Rule number one. Come on, you be the main one telling me to sip, Wanda.
I know. Sorry, I moved locations. I moved locations.
Okay.
I'm actually at
All right.
work. I'm actually at work. I hope the kids don't bother me.
Okay. All
I
right.
told
Well, how
them
much
I'm
time you
off.
got?
I got a while, but I told them I'm off limits for about 30 minutes. Give me 30 minutes. I told
Perfect. Give me 30 minutes and I might be quitting by the end of the day. Depends on what Coach Lisa
them.
say.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Oh,
Ooh, let me
I'm
sip.
so
Let me
happy to
sip.
have you. So Wanda, tell our viewers just a little bit about yourself, what you do, and why you wrote in today.
Okay, so my name is Wanda Jenkins. Can y'all hear me? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So my name is Wanda Jenkins, and I am from Florida, Palm Beach County area. Thank you. Appreciate it. All right, Palm Beach County area, and I am on the administration team. I work for a middle school, and I've been doing it for 20 plus years. So that's what I do. And the reason why I wrote in is because it's pretty much almost time for me to retire. And I want to go out and work in the community to help the kids because reading and math and all that stuff is like a problem for our kids in the area. So I wanted to open my own business. And my cousin and I, we were talking at our one of our family reunion, and we were just talking about how the parents are busy, how the parents don't know some of the schoolwork. It's not really their fault. It's just that they learn different stuff from what the kids are learning now, and they don't really get it, so they can't help their kids. And I was like, we just need to be the parents for the parents. And so we kind of came up with the name Parent for Parents so we can help the parents, whether it's, going to the parent conferences or tutoring the kids, tutoring people in the community or whatever it is we need to do to help the parents because they work. They got a lot of kids. Some have a lot of kids, some don't. Some are single parents. And so that's kind of, what started the whole thing. And here I am.
I love this idea.
Yeah.
First of all, I love the name, Parents for Parents.
Yes.
So let's help take on the role and help support the kids by supporting the parents. I love
Right.
this idea. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So beautiful, beautiful business idea. So you told me when you emailed me, you said, I have a whole business idea where I help the parents in my community with their school age children educational success. I have filed for the business nonprofit corporation, which I already have. I'm also in the process of applying for help with a location. It's just myself and one other person. But you said I'm scared to make a move. Okay, so I'm going to ask you a couple questions for you for 20 some years. That's amazing.
You're
Um,
welcome.
I heard you say that you're close to retirement. So, is this a business that you foresee yourself running after you get out of your traditional 9 to 5?
Yes.
Okay, all right. So, how far away is retirement?
November 1st.
Oh, okay, okay. All right. So, retirement is just a few months away.
Right. But I'm gonna
Okay.
work the entire school. School starts back again in August, and I'm gonna retire. I'm gonna retire. I'm gonna work the entire school year, and then I'm gonna make a decision from there. But that's why I've been working on this, this business idea and things for quite some time, so I can just kind of, run right in it. And yeah. So, but the
Okay.
move, the move to run right in it hasn't been made. It's kind of been, should I? Should I not? Should I not? So yeah,
Yeah. Okay. So, let me ask you first question because you know how we feel about radical obedience around here, right?
I do. I
Uh,
do.
okay. So, let me do audience radical. Radical obedience is doing what you feel called to do despite the presence of fear and uncertainty. That's how we define it, guys. Wanda, do you feel like you're being called to start this business?
I do. I really do. Because I've been thinking about it for a long, long time. Just with working in the school system and seeing the test scores and the kids, and it's our kids basically. And so for a long time, I was like, got to get help, got to get the parents help, got to get in the community, got to change the mindset of the community and the parents and all of that. Because if they're not on board, then the kids are probably not going to be on board. But they're probably not on board because they need somebody like me to go out and just do it and talk to them so they can understand, and then maybe they'll have a better understanding and then they'll jump on board. I've been trying to get into like the little pop Warner leagues, in that community because they bring their kids to practice. They sit there and they wait for their kids to finish practicing and stuff like that. So that's kind of like a moment to actually talk to the parents and say, hey, what about school and this and that? Because I also see that they play Pop Warner and they go up the ladder. They get to high school. They want to go to these big colleges and different things like that. And then they don't really make it to the big colleges because they don't have the grades or they didn't do what they were, they didn't do the work they needed to do to be able to get recruited by, big time colleges or whatever. So they end up settling and they don't really like it. And, the rest is history.
Got it. Okay. So, Wanda, you feel called to this work. It sounds like you're crystal clear on the problem you want to solve. So, there's
Right,
clarity on the problem that the business will solve, right?
right.
Okay. And it sounds like that there's a lot of passion behind it because you've been intimate with this work and this problem for so many years in your 9 to 5. Is that right?
That's correct.
Okay, so explain to me where the fear of moving comes from. Tell me what is stopping you specifically.
Okay, so the fear is like I'm just like really scared because I'm scared that the community or maybe the parents or whomever they're not going to be receptive, and it's just going to leave me hanging. And I know if you reach one, you've reached one. You know what I'm saying? But I'm just afraid. I'm not trying to reach one. I want to reach more than one. But maybe I should start with one because if I do one, then maybe everybody. Yeah, I don't know. I'm just like scared to just put myself out there because I'm afraid of what the parents or the community might say or feel.
Why are you afraid of what the parents or the community might say?
I don't know. I don't know. Sometimes people, well, who does she think she is? What does she know? Stuff like that. Because, sometimes when you're dealing with our community and our people, that's kind of how they are. And I'm not concerned about people liking me or not liking me. I'm concerned. I mean, I'm about doing what's right for the children. You know what I'm saying? To make,
Mhm.
children are the future. And if they don't know, then what's going to happen to the future? So my fear is honestly worrying about what they're gonna say, worried about, okay, where are we gonna go? How are we gonna get started? We don't have any money. Like, what are we gonna do? So like keep working, keep saving, keep working. Maybe somebody will come along and somebody I don't know where to begin. I'm all over the place with it. In my brain.
Yeah. Okay. It sounds like the money is a secondary fear, but worried about what people are going to think and going to say is the primary fear. Is that
Mhm.
right?
Well, worried about not so much what they're gonna say, or are they gonna be receptive to help their children? You know what I'm saying? Like,
Okay.
because
So you're
sometimes
worried
they're
about getting
not.
business.
Well, not so much the business.
So
Just I'm worried about them. How can I say it? Worried about them wondering if I know what I'm doing to be able to help their kids. I guess I don't know.
okay. All right. So, who does she think she is? What makes her qualified?
Right,
Is that it?
that type of thing. Yes. Like, what does
Okay.
she know? I mean, those type of comments or whatever.
Yeah, 100%. Okay. Have you ever heard this phrase, Wanda, that we don't see the world as it is, we see it as we are? Have you heard that?
Mm-mm. No.
Okay. So, has anyone ever said that to you before? Have you ever faced that before where you tried to do something or took an initiative and you got that feedback or you got that response? Who do you think you are? You're not qualified to do this. Has that ever happened before?
No, not verbally. No. No,
Okay.
not
All right.
not to like, not to my face. I should say not like face to face, but just in communicating with people, saying, "Hey, this is what I'm trying to do," and then they're putting it, trying to get them to put it out there for you, and then they come back and like, "No, they don't want to do it. They don't know if they can trust you." Different things like that. It's like,
So
okay,
that has happened before.
yeah,
Okay. All right. So couple things. Number one, you're rightful for being worried about what people may think or how you may be received. There's a healthy amount of that that's actually required to be successful in business. So the first thing I want you to understand is that we're not trying to get rid of the concern that people are going to be wondering about whether or not you're qualified. That's a natural thing for consumers to wonder in
okay,
every business. Okay.
okay,
So it's very natural. Same thing for you. If you put yourself in the shoes of a consumer, it's very natural if you're new to someone, new to a brand, new to an offer to wonder, is this legit? Right? So
Mm-hmm.
I want you to know that that's normal. That's perfectly
Okay.
normal, right? And it's perfectly healthy, because we should all care a little bit about what people think. It's we don't need to care zero, because then we just do what we want to do without concern for others. But we don't want to care so much that it paralyzes us, right? But here's the thing, Wanda. One of the things I'm gonna give you two I'm gonna give you two ways to look at this. The first one is what I said earlier. We don't see the world the way it is, we see it the way we are. And what that means is, if you haven't launched this business yet and no one has pushed back saying that you're not qualified, there is a chance that you have decided you're not qualified and you're projecting that onto the rest of us,
Okay. That's
right?
fair. Mm-hmm.
Because do you believe that you are 100% qualified
I
to
do.
solve the problem that your business is set to solve? And why do you believe you're qualified?
Well, for the number of years that I have experience, and just, just seeing all the different areas and the different kids making it, not making it. And it's just, like I said, it's our people, and just a struggle, like the struggle for education, it has changed, and it's real, like for some of the kids, whether they have a disability or not. You know what I'm saying? It's hard for some of the kids, and their mindset is different, I believe, because of social media too. I think that has a lot to do with it too, because that's all they want to do is get on their phones. They don't want to do any education. Right now I'm in summer camp, and it's fun. We do academics 2 days out of the week. We do an hour of math, an hour of reading. All the other time and days are field trips. And they still don't want to do an hour of reading and an hour of math and social skills, different things like that. They still don't want to do it. So it's kind of scary that that's like the mindset, and that's what they do.
Yeah. So you're super intimate with the problem. And then your business model, are have you and your partner spelled out very specifically how you're going to help the parents? Your parents helping parents, being the parent to the parent. Have you spelled out the process you're going to use to help kids be more successful in education? Do you know the
Right.
exact protocol you're going to take to do that?
Yeah, we've written down the vision. I don't have it with me because I didn't bring it to work. I should have. We had the vision, we had the mission, and we had exactly what we could do to help them. Things like tutoring them, coming to a parent conference if a parent's at work and the parents can't make it. Maybe picking the kids up for school, because a lot of times kids can't make it to school on time or whatever. And so those type of things like that is what we've been, talking about, getting out, putting out there for them.
Okay, so you know the problem, you know the gaps that need to be filled to help the problem. So you have the mastery. Because one of the things that sometimes solves the feeling of fear is there's a gap in our mastery, but you don't
Yeah.
have that. So that's why I'm concerned about how you feel about yourself being qualified, because I don't hear anywhere where you don't know. Like, this is not a random run of the mill idea. It sounds like you've
Right.
been married and thinking on this for years. Is that right?
Yeah, that's
As,
correct. And it
as
could be just me. So maybe that's what I need help with me. That's why I said,
yeah.
help me with get over the fear and just do what I need to do, because everything else, well, not all of it, but most of it, and the things that are needed that I see is needed, it's pretty much already there.
Okay.
Outside of, the other stuff, the finances and the this and the that.
Yeah.
Coaching. I need coaching. I need coaching personally.
Yeah.
Personally.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, the first thing that I want you to walk away from this with is understanding that it's actually normal to
Okay.
care about what your potential consumers are going to think. That's the first thing I
Okay.
want you to walk away with. So I want you to
Okay.
normalize your own fear. Like, I'm concerned about what y'all think about me. You are in my ecosystem. You're in my community. You did our last challenge with us. You be on all my lives. Like, I'm concerned about what Wanda thinks about my content. I'm concerned. Like, that's normal. So it's actually healthy to really care about what the people who you are in service to, how they feel and what they think. It
Hmm.
becomes risky when you care so much that you don't do anything,
Right.
right? So I,
Hmm.
I want you to know that the goal, wake up one day and not care what people think and then launch the
Right.
business. That's not the goal,
Okay.
right? I want you to have a healthy amount of that throughout your time in
Okay.
business. I want you to always be thinking about, what is my consumer? What are the parents going to think? How are they going to perceive this? Now, the next thing we do to combat this feeling of they're not going to think I'm qualified, or who does she think she is to do exactly what I'm doing right now, which
Okay.
is You gain people's trust and credibility before you sell anything to them.
Okay.
Okay. So
Okay.
the business strategy that you're going to use to do this is you're going to find some type of platform to create content to articulate your mastery in your lane.
Okay.
Okay. So I don't know if you guys already have a business, a marketing plan. Like, how will you get the
No, we
parents? How
don't.
will you get them? You don't.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-mm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So when people are starting businesses, we absolutely have to have a way that we market and advertise ourselves and our services.
Okay.
As you know, one of the best ways to do that is online, some type of social media, YouTube, podcasts, whatever you want to pick. So the next way to fight back against this fear of who does she think she is? What does she know? What makes her qualified? Is to show up and display your qualification. That's why I'm on here every Monday. That's why I
Okay.
do a 30-day vegan challenge. That's why I have a 12-week program. That's why I have a podcast, because every week you guys have the opportunity to consume me for free and get evidence of my mastery and my qualification. So
Okay.
instead of making your client or your customer, your parents wait until they pay with you, or sign up to get evidence of your mastery, display your mastery for
Okay.
free. Give them a sample for free. And that way they raise their hand to work with you. They begin to trust you with one of their most valuable assets, their children, because they have already been listening to you or watching you display your mastery, right? And
Okay.
so wherever you think your parents are going to hang out at, like, you might be like, my parents are mostly going to be on TikTok
Mm-hmm.
or
Okay.
Facebook or whatever. You and your partner, you create a page and you get on there and you start talking about the problem.
Okay.
Start talking about the problem.
Okay.
Start talking about, the gap in the education system, and how kids could be more successful if we had this service and that service, and talk about, give parents strategies right now before they work with you guys on ways that they can start moving the needle better for their children. And then when they realize that I can't do this all by myself, or it's just some resources I don't have access to, your business is the first course of action. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. It does.
Yep. Yep. So
Yes.
just, you don't have credibility. You're worried about not having credibility or trust with people. And that makes sense because you haven't showed up anywhere yet to
Right.
show them that you know
Right.
what you're talking about.
Right. Right. You're right. Because we haven't.
So right. So we need a
Yeah.
marketing strategy. And
Okay.
when I say marketing, it's not just marketing like, hey, here's my business, come buy from me.
Right.
It is, hey, I'm Wanda, we're parents, parents to parents and nonprofit. And let me tell you what the problem is. So it's not about always selling people something. It's about helping people first. So where is
Okay.
your community service? Where is your church? Where is, because you
Right.
guys can listen to me free multiple times a week, and it's just me pouring into you. And then every now and then when I say, hey, I got something for sale, you're more likely to trust me because you've already been consuming me.
Got it. Got it.
Okay.
Makes sense.
Okay.
Makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So does that part scare you? Does showing up somewhere and talking about what you know, does that scare you?
Not really. No.
Yes.
I
Okay.
say not really because I get nervous, but once I get going, then I'm all right. I just gotta, let that woosah come down or whatever. But, I don't have a problem with speaking. But I have a problem with speaking because, sometimes you look out in the audience and people's faces are like, or whatever. But the good thing about social media, I guess you can't see their face. But like in an open forum, you can see, you can, unless you invite them on a live, you can see their face in a community event or whatever. And, so like for me, that's like, okay, they are not like what I'm saying. What am I supposed to, how am I supposed to get out of this without them thinking I don't really know what I'm talking about or whatever. But once I get going, I get going. So
Okay. Okay. So do you have an idea or where you would start with this then? What platform, how you would do it?
I would like to start web, and trying to start for the last 3 years is in that community with this football, because I know parents are heavy, heavy, heavy into sports. Nothing wrong with it. Follow your kids because that's what you should do. At least you're keeping them busy and you don't have to worry about any type of trouble, hopefully. You know what I'm saying? So I like that. But I like the fact that they're sitting there and they're just talking and holding conversations, but not really getting educated about like the school system and what your kid's doing and where it's headed and what you need to know and what you don't know. Like for example, we have what we call SIS, and that's where the parent can go and check on their kids, email the teacher, whatever, you know. But how many parents don't know about that? They don't really know. They got to rely on their kid because they give the kid a code and they give the parent a code. But the kid will say no, they won't give the parent the code, but the parent don't even know that they can go and get their own code and they can sign on for
Mhm.
themselves. So just little things like that. For me, that could be a starter. And that's why I've been trying to get out there and start. Just have an open forum community conversation outside while they're waiting for their kid to finish practice.
Brilliant. It's brilliant. This is brilliant. Okay, let me tell you why I love this. A couple of reasons. I started in person too, right?
Oh,
I
okay.
started in person too. My started, you probably heard me say this a bunch of times, Wanda, but I started with a class that I did once a month in
Mm-hmm.
downtown Detroit called Get Planted, an introduction to a whole food plant-based lifestyle. Once a month, Wanda, I gathered people to
Okay.
talk about health. I created an event on Eventbrite. It was free to the community. They came out, sat down somewhere, and I waxed deep for 2 hours about health, nutrition science, exercise science, all the things, right?
Mm-hmm.
It was an opportunity for people to begin to trust me, to get to know me, to
Mm-hmm.
understand what I offer. And that's how we started getting people into our e learning platform, the Black Health Academy, right?
Okay.
What I'm hearing you say is the exact same thing.
Okay.
And the reason your idea is even more brilliant is because I had to coerce people to come to a space they didn't plan on being. These parents are already there
Already
waiting
there.
on the babies,
Mm-hmm.
right? And
Mm-hmm.
so all you got to do is show up there and start a conversation. You have an opportune time. It's so brilliant because so often parents are sitting around while they're waiting on their kids to finish an activity.
Mm-hmm.
And so
Mm-hmm.
you're like, why don't we capitalize on this time? Teach them something, learn them something, educate them something, offer them resources. So now I heard you say you've been trying to do this for a while. What's the holdup?
Well, they have a board, and you have to kind of go through the board to do things in the park while the parents are waiting.
Mm-hmm.
And they have a board that consists of whatever it consists of. And I said to them, "Hey, do you guys have an education board? Like, because these kids are coming out here, or how are we finding out what they're doing in school? How they're doing in school? Are you punishing them for not doing good in school because you know they want to play their sport?" So when I say punish, I'm not talking about like big time punish, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Talk to them about their grades and their behavior in school and stuff like that. So the board was like, "Oh no, we used to have that a while back, but let me talk to the president and then we'll get back with you." Well, I'm still waiting. So I kind of got discouraged and I just stopped asking.
Okay. How many times did you follow up?
A lot. I
Okay.
actually have
And
a
what?
cousin, and it kind of made me upset because I have a cousin that's actually on the board, and I'm like, look, like you're right there, like talk to these people about.
And what
So I don't
happened?
know, and nothing never ever came of it, and I don't know. That's just my personality. I'm just the type of person. If I've said something to you over and over, I'm just not gonna keep asking. So what I probably should have done was found another outlet to go to, but I
Mm-hmm.
didn't. I guess that kind of discouraged me, and I just kind of like sat back on it, but still focused on what I wanted to do for the business at the same time, taking notes, jotting down different things, and making changes every time something else comes up. Like, well, yeah, this would be good for adding, taking away, and different things like that. So
Yeah. 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 So you haven't been okay. I know you've heard, people say like, don't accept no for an answer, right? You ain't even got to know. You just ain't got to answer. Okay. So,
that's true.
so we got a
That's
bigger
true.
problem. Okay. Okay. So a couple things, right?
Okay.
One of the things I absolutely have to learn in business, Wanda, is you follow up till you get a decision.
Okay.
I need a decision. I'm not. I don't
Okay.
even. Is it yes? Is it no? It is the one of the most frustrating things about the human experience when you're trying to accomplish something is the middle. It's the no decision, right? So like I even feel that way about sales. Either you gonna take our course or you not, but don't leave me in limbo for 2 weeks talking about you
Right.
deliberating, right? I hate deliberation. So get an answer, get a definitive answer. You are trying to be in service to these babies. Have you okay? You asked them to did you submit a formal proposal breaking down what you
I
want to
did
do? Like
not.
how sophisticated? Okay. So
I
what was
did
the
not.
ask? What do they think they trying to decide on? What did you ask?
I asked if they had a member of their board as an education, education leader. That's what I was speaking to the president of the board at the time. So, and he was like, "Oh no, we used to have a education person on our team, but we don't have that anymore. We haven't had it in 2 years." And I was like, "Oh, because this, and I explained myself, letting them know what I was trying to do. Okay, well, I'll have a meeting with the board, and then we'll get back to you." And
No.
yeah.
No. Okay. All right. So
Okay.
we need a formal proposal.
Okay.
And a proposal doesn't have to be long and sophisticated, but something in writing, right?
Okay.
When we submit a proposal, and we need to know who the decision maker is.
Okay. Got it.
Right. Okay. So
Mm-hmm.
we need a name. We need a contact information. We need a proposal that can be emailed to a decision maker with a
Okay.
day and time, ideally, where we can have a conversation. I'm going to tell you what
Okay.
I like to do when I submit proposals, Wanda. When I submit a proposal to an organization, I draw up the proposal, and there's templates for proposals that you can get on like Canva and stuff like that. I like to draw up a proposal, and then I like to record my voice going over the proposal. So like I like to do, I record my voice in my face, so it'll be a little, picture of me in the corner, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, hey Wanda, I just emailed you over this proposal for me to come in and do some workshops in your school. I just wanted to highlight a few things about this proposal because I'm super excited about it. You'll see on page 1 where I, talk about what our mission is and why we want to do this. I heard you say earlier that you were lacking this in your school system for your children. And I really, really believe that my company can fill the gap for you. And here's why. We're missing out on the opportunity, blah, blah. So they hear my voice as I'm scrolling through the proposal. You could do this on Zoom. You can do this on a platform called Loom. But I like to
Okay.
always submit a video with my written proposals to the
Okay.
decision maker. So I'm using their name. They know it's not it's customized. Right.
Right.
I'm saying the
Okay.
school name. I'm saying the decision maker name. This is something that I sat down and did specifically for this opportunity. Then I propose a day and time to set up a call. If I need to, can I come in person? You want to do this on site. So where does the board meet? When is the board meetings? When does the board
Okay.
accept or hear from the community about their ideas? I need to be there, right? And then another option that you might want to consider is even the parents are sitting in the park while their kids are playing sports. You're trying to talk to them in the park. If we can't get that avenue, the parents still need to be waiting on their kids. So can they wait
Right.
somewhere else nearby where you
Right.
host a class or info session? Right.
Okay.
So if it takes too much work to get a decision from this board, the parents are still sitting somewhere.
Right.
And a lot of people, and then not all the parents sit there. Some of them leave and come back, I'm sure.
They
So
do.
I don't know how young the kids are if they have to be there. But if they willing to leave, can we find a space nearby where we host this during that time that they would just be waiting anyway?
Right. Gotcha.
So that's a second option. Does that make
Okay.
sense?
Yeah, it does. It does.
Okay.
It does.
And any questions about the proposal piece?
Um, no, I think I kind of got it a little bit. I think I got it. But
Yeah.
I can always email you a little bit if I need to. Just a little
You
bit.
chose can. Yeah, feel free. Okay, I know you got to get out of here. I got one more thing that I want to
Okay.
share with you because we asked you to take our radical obedience assessment in preparation for today's call, right?
You did.
So viewers, how many more minutes you got, Wanda? I know you got to get back
I
to
got
work.
time. I got time.
Okay.
It's
Okay.
11. I got like 15 more minutes.
Okay, cool. We won't take that long. Okay. So, you mentioned earlier that you feel called to this business, right? You feel like God is calling you to do this work. You have years of experience in this area, and you've recognized the gap in the education system, and you have created a solution, right? So now that God has given you the divine download for this business, you have a responsibility to be obedient to it.
Right.
And so in preparation for this call, we asked you to take our radical obedience assessment, and we have your scores here. So for the audience listening, our radical obedience assessment is an assessment that rates individuals on 4 areas of radical obedience. So whether they complete follow through. So we consider obedience radical when it's complete, not partial, meaning you do everything God told you to do and not just some of what God called you to do. So in that area, Rhonda, you scored a 22 out of 25, which ain't too bad. Not too bad. Then Not bad at all. Because the thing I want to talk through a little bit is the area that you scored the lowest in. So I'm going to go through the other three real quick. So complete, not partial, makes obedience radical. You scored a 22 out of 25, not bad. The next area you scored a 21 out of 25, which is you do your assignment with innocence and not expectation, meaning no matter how things are going, you keep going because God told you to do it. So you don't do it because, oh, I didn't make as much money as I thought, or we're not getting as many people as I thought. If this is the assignment, you do the
Mhm.
assignment without expectation. You do it because you're being called to it, not because you expected something to happen in a certain time and it didn't, right?
Mhm.
So you scored 21 out of 25, not too bad,
Okay.
not too bad. And then the third area, the third thing that makes obedience radical is that you do it with joy. You do it with a spirit of gratitude and not begrudgingly or not, in a negative spirit and a negative energy. And so you scored a 21 out of 25 in joyful surrender. You do what God told you to do joyfully, and that's not too bad, right? Attitude,
Right.
good.
Right.
All right.
Right. All right.
The last area that we say makes obedience radical that you scored the lowest in um, is we say your obedience becomes radical when it is immediately and not eventually. You scored a 16 out of 25 on that. That was your lowest score, right? So your total radical obedience score is 80 out of 100, right? But immediately, not eventually, you scored 16 out of 25, which is kind of apropos. That makes sense for our conversation today because you're like,
Right.
we're doing some of the things, but
Right.
I'm not moving as quickly as I should because of fear, right?
Right.
And so you scored kind of low on that one, right? And so this is a great invitation to start looking closely at all the areas of your life in which you're supposed to be doing something but you're not going all the way, and you're not going as quickly as you should. Is it just kind of in this career piece where you're kind of slow going, or are there other areas in your life, maybe when it comes to health or relationships or finances, where you know you're supposed to be doing something but you're not moving as quickly? Is that a pattern for you?
Yeah, it is. Yeah. Yeah. Especially on the finance side.
Okay. Is fear, is it different reason? Is it fear in the business side, but something else on the finance side, or is fear leading the way in all those areas?
Well, we always think we got to have the money first, like stepping out on faith, like you did. Just said, I'm quitting my 9 to 5 and I'm going whatever. I don't have that. I don't have that. I don't have that.
Oh, that's okay. You don't
So
have to.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. No, but I'm just saying, like, so
So
that's it.
immediately, not eventually, doesn't mean quit your job. Because
No,
you
I
can
do know
have,
that. Yeah,
okay, because that
yeah.
you can move without having to take a bunch of risk.
Right,
Right?
right.
So there's things you can do to build the momentum and
Hmm.
maintain the momentum on your assignment without feeling like you're putting yourself or your livelihood at risk, right? If you're more risk averse, it's okay to move with low risk, right?
Okay,
Like creating content online or creating a class for the parents that are just waiting for their babies is low risk. It's super low
okay,
risk, but that's that
okay,
forward momentum. You get what I'm
okay.
saying?
Hmm.
So that immediately, not eventually, you scored the lowest in that, which makes sense based on why you wrote in today. So you already raising your hand for help. I love it here,
Right,
right?
right.
But I just wanted to highlight that to you, know because radical obedience grants you favor, and when you can get all four of
Okay,
those scores up, complete, not
okay,
partial, immediately, not eventually, with innocence and not expectation, with joy and not begrudging, then things will go to the next level, right? So
okay,
what will it take? I want you to, think deeper about this for yourself. What will it take for me to start moving with a little more urgency? Because
okay.
right now, the reason you're not moving is because you're thinking about yourself, right? You're
Yeah,
thinking about what people will think of me. Will people think I'm good enough? Will people think I know enough? Will people say stuff like, who does she think she is, right? And while it's a reasonable fear, like I told you earlier, it's not unreasonable at all.
hmm,
We're also delaying the baby's
yeah.
progress. All the
It's true.
children that you're in service to, that maybe you're not able to do all what you want because of the confines of your 9 to 5, your business will allow you to do that because you're creating it on your terms. But if we continue to delay the assignment, they're the only ones who's suffering. You're not protecting yourself, right? It's
You're
actually doing
right.
harm to the people that you're meant to be in service to, because this is a divine assignment for you.
You're right.
That makes sense?
It does. Yep.
Okay. All right. So let us know before you hop off here, Wanda, what you about to do. I need to
I'm
know.
about to go work on my immediately not delayed. I
Okay.
need to work on that. And then I'm gonna do what you said, get to do my proposal, get to the decision maker, and then take it from there. And
Okay.
then everything else, all these notes I took down. Look, I took notes.
Okay. And if for any reason you can't
Uh-huh.
start that class on that football field this
Okay.
month, you're
Okay.
going to start showing up somewhere else to display your mastery in this lane so that you can get rid of this I'm not enough syndrome.
Okay.
Where will you show up if we can't do it on the football field? Just tell me real
Well,
quick.
I could show up actually real quick right here where I'm at summer camp, because we got like
Okay.
22 to 25 babies and they're all from different areas. I don't really know them. I'm helping someone out with their organization by, doing summer camp. So I don't really know the kids like that. So I think it's a perfect start right here, right where I'm at too as well.
Ain't that something? Honey, we already got somewhere we can be starting right now. All right, Wanda. So
Yes.
here's your assignment, because I got to update the audience. This
Okay.
is not even for me. I got to update the audience. They want to know
Okay.
that. Blame
Okay.
everybody watching, okay?
Okay. All right.
We need an update within 7 days. When I come back on
Okay.
live next Monday,
Okay.
okay? By the time I come back next Monday, I need to have received, not for me, for them, an
Okay.
email from you, not
Okay.
telling me what you're going to do, but telling me what you've done.
What I did. Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
that's the fee for
Okay.
free. Now, I be charging
Okay.
for coaching, but that's
I
the fee for
know.
free.
I appreciate the fee for free too. I appreciate that. Okay, no problem.
Okay,
I'm writing it
so
down.
write that down. Say, I got to email Coach Lisa
Yeah.
before next Monday with what I've done and the progress I've made and where I'm showing up to get the business going, to be in service to the babies that I feel called to be in service to. Because I'm not worried about me. I'm going to decide. I'm going to decide to be more worried about them than I am myself.
Okay.
I'm going to decide every day to be more worried about them.
Okay.
That don't mean I'm not going to worry about me too.
Right.
But specifically for your business, I'm not telling you not to put yourself first. I'm just saying, for this business that we've been sitting on for far too long, I'm going to make a decision to be more
Okay.
concerned about the kids than I
Okay.
am about myself. And that's going to give me the momentum I need to start showing up.
Okay. Will do.
All right. Audience, can we give Wanda some love in
Thank
the chat? They've been
you.
loving on you in the chat, Wanda.
Thank y'all. I appreciate y'all for the love. I really do. This was nerve wracking, but I got through it. So thank you for the love. But I
Of
really am
course.
passionate about, helping the babies. So if anybody wanna move me to where they at and help me move to where they at, I can help y'all babies.
You never know. You
Never
never
know,
know, one.
right? Never
Listen, you
know.
want to go ahead and get your pitch real quick? Tell them what you do or how you can help if if a parent needs help right now. Tell them how you can help them.
I can help them succeed by going to parent conferences for them, tutoring their kids, getting them to the reading and math level that they need to be at. I can help them with transportation for school and whatever else they may need. And if I can't do it, I know somebody that can and
Okay,
will.
what area do they need to live in if they need the physical help?
Palm Beach County,
Okay,
Florida, Palm Beach County,
okay, and then what
Delray,
about the?
Boca, Boynton. I don't know if anybody on here is from that area, but yeah,
Okay, and
Delray,
then what
Boynton,
about
Boca.
the tutoring? Can the tutoring be done virtually?
Oh yeah, I can do virtual tutoring. I never tried it, but guess what? First time for
Okay,
everything, right?
okay, and what age is for the tutoring? Like, what's your specialty in the math and all
Ages
that?
ages for math is sixth grade through high school, and then I have a cousin that does the reading level, and she takes them very, very from from low level to the level that they need to be, and that's the elementary grade level.
Come on,
Yeah.
pitch. All right,
Yep.
now you got to have that sharp. You got to be ready to go, Wanda. You never know when the money in the room,
You're
baby.
right, because you just put me on the spot. So and that was just off the top, but now I know I got to be ready.
You got to
That's
be
why
ready messing with
I
me.
kind of stay ready, so I don't have to get ready. So that just rolled off the tongue a little bit. I don't know if it made sense, but y'all make it make sense. Y'all know what I'm
Okay,
trying to
very good,
say.
Wanda. Oh,
All right.
and do. Listen, thank you so much for your
Thank
time today.
you,
Thank you
and
for being
thank
so
you,
generous and
thank you.
transparent.
Love the fee for free. Love it. I love it. The fee for free.
All right, we'll look for your update and I'll give it to the people next week, Wanda. Take
Okay.
care.
All right. Thanks. Bye,
You
y'all.
bye.
Bye.
All right, y'all. So I hope y'all enjoyed that time with Wanda today. Um, we'll be back next week with another live as usual every Monday at 10 a.m. EST live with myself, Coach Lisa. And actually, we've had several people who who emailed me asking to coach y'all live. So we're actually gonna do this again for the remainder of the month.
Oh,
And
that's
so we're
good.
super excited to bring you guys on. We have several other people lined up for this month. So if you want your opportunity to be coached live, just email us at hello@lisaangelsmith.com. We'll get back to you. Let us know what your challenge is. It can be in health, it can be in business, whatever it is. And just use the subject line, Coach Me Live. Subject line, Coach Me Live. Email us at hello@lisaangelsmith.com. And you can have your opportunity to come on here during a Monday morning keynote and get coached by myself during a challenge you're having in your health, your personal development, or your business. And if you're not already, click the link in the show notes here or in the chat to make sure you're registered for our next 30-day vegan salt, oil, and sugar-free challenge. It's starting on July 1. One of the best ways to be successful in business is to start by being successful in your health, physical and mental health, the mental clarity that you need to create, the mental clarity that you need to write and get things off the ground, the physical health that you need for your business all starts with what you're putting in your mouth. So mental, physical, and emotional wellness, you can get that in a 30-day vegan challenge starting July 1. Click the link in the chat to get registered if you aren't already. Y'all, we'll see you back here next Monday with another Coach Me Live. Until then, y'all have a phenomenal week. Bye,
Thank
y'all.
you. Bye.